Ancient Israel, also known as the Hebrew civilization, is one of the most important cultures in world history. Its ideas about God, morality, law, and community influenced many later societies, including our modern world. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all trace parts of their beliefs to the people of ancient Israel. This civilization grew in the region known as Canaan, which includes modern Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan, and parts of Syria. The story of ancient Israel is known mainly from the Hebrew Bible, also called the Old Testament, and from archaeology. While the Bible is a religious text, many events described in it match archaeological findings, helping historians understand the lives, culture, and challenges of the ancient Israelites. The beginnings of the Hebrew people are connected with a man named Abraham, who is believed to have lived around 2000 BCE. According to tradition, Abraham lived in Mesopotamia in a city called Ur. The story says that God told Abraham to leave his home and travel to a new land called Canaan. Abraham obeyed, taking his family, servants, and animals on a long journey westward. When he arrived in Canaan, God promised him that one day his descendants would live in this land. Abraham's son Isaac and his grandson Jacob continued the family line. Jacob had 12 sons, and each son became the ancestor of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob's name was later changed to Israel, and this is why his descendants became known as Israelites. These early people were mostly shepherds and herders who moved from place to place with their animals. Over time, however, they slowly settled in the hill country of Canaan. A major part of the traditional story tells how the Israelites ended up in Egypt. According to the Bible, a great famine struck Canaan, and Jacob's family moved to Egypt to find food. At first they lived there peacefully, but after several generations the Egyptians viewed them as a growing threat and forced them into slavery. The exact details are difficult to confirm historically, but many scholars believe that groups from Canaan did live and work in Egypt during different periods. The Bible says that God sent Moses to free the Israelites from slavery. Moses became the leader who guided them out of Egypt in an event called the Exodus. The Israelites wandered in the desert for many years. During this journey, Moses received the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai. These commandments became the foundation of Hebrew law and moral teachings, shaping how the Israelites would live and worship. Whether the Exodus happened exactly as described or not, most historians agree that a group left Egypt around this time and formed the early community that would later settle in Canaan. After leaving the desert, the Israelites eventually entered Canaan again and began to settle there. They lived for several centuries without a king, forming a society made of 12 tribes. Each tribe controlled its own area. When danger came from enemies such as the Philistines, temporary leaders called judges were chosen to guide the people. These judges were not judges in the modern legal sense. They were more like strong leaders, warriors, and advisors. Some well-known judges include Deborah, a courageous woman who led the Israelites in battle; Gideon, who defeated a large enemy army with a small number of men; and Samuel, who was both a judge and a prophet. Everyday life during this period was simple. People lived in small villages made of stone houses. They grew wheat, barley, grapes, and olives, and raised sheep and goats. Their religion centered on worshiping one God, although they sometimes mixed their beliefs with the religions of neighboring groups, which often caused conflict within the community. Over time, the tribes of Israel felt the need for a stronger, more united government. Their enemies were becoming more powerful, and the people wanted a king to lead them. The first king of Israel was Saul. He started well but later faced difficulties and lost support. After Saul, a young man named David became king. David is one of the most famous figures in Hebrew history. He united all 12 tribes into one kingdom, defeated many enemies, and made Jerusalem the capital city. David is remembered not only as a great warrior but also as a poet and musician. Many of the Psalms in the Bible are traditionally linked to him. After David, his son Solomon became king. Solomon is known for his wisdom and for building the first temple in Jerusalem, a magnificent structure that became the center of Israelite worship. The temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred chest said to contain the tablets of the 10 Commandments. Solomon strengthened Israel's economy through trade, and his reign brought wealth and peace. However, his building projects required heavy taxes and forced labor, which caused resentment among the people. After Solomon died, the kingdom split into two. The northern part kept the name Israel, with its capital in Samaria, and the southern part was called Judah, with its capital in Jerusalem. This division made the Israelites weaker. The two kingdoms often struggled with each other and faced threats from powerful empires. The northern kingdom of Israel was larger and richer, but it had frequent changes of kings and many political problems. The southern kingdom of Judah was smaller, but it had a more stable line of rulers, all descended from King David. During this time, many prophets emerged. These prophets spoke messages they believed came from God. They warned the people about injustice, corruption, and the worship of foreign gods. Prophets like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, and Hosea played important roles in shaping the moral and spiritual life of the Israelites. They challenged kings and common people alike to follow the laws and values of their faith. The northern kingdom eventually fell to the powerful Assyrian Empire in 722 BCE. The Assyrians conquered the land, destroyed cities, and carried many people away. These groups became known as the Lost Tribes of Israel because they disappeared from history. The southern kingdom of Judah survived for more than a century after the fall of the north, but it also faced growing threats. A new empire, Babylon, rose to power under King Nebuchadnezzar. In 586 BCE, the Babylonians captured Jerusalem, destroyed the first temple, and carried many Judeans into exile in Babylon. This event, called the Babylonian Exile, was one of the most painful moments in Jewish history. The people lost their homeland, their temple, and many of their leaders. However, instead of disappearing as a group, the Judeans found new ways to preserve their identity. They continued to pray, teach their children, and follow their traditions even in a foreign land. Many scholars believe that important parts of the Hebrew Bible were written or edited during the exile, as people tried to understand their past and keep their faith alive. In 539 BCE, the Persian Empire conquered Babylon. The Persian king, Cyrus the Great, allowed the Judeans to return to their homeland. Many returned and rebuilt the temple in Jerusalem. This new structure became known as the Second Temple. The period that followed is called the Second Temple period, which lasted from 516 BCE until 70 CE. During this time, Jewish society changed in many ways. Worship became more organized, and the study of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, became central. Leaders such as Ezra and Nehemiah encouraged the people to follow the laws carefully, rebuild the city walls, and strengthen their community. Though the people had returned to their land, they were not politically independent. They lived under the rule of the Persians, then the Greeks, and later the Romans. These foreign empires often allowed the Jews some freedom, but also placed limitations and taxes on them. When Alexander the Great conquered the region, Greek culture spread widely. This influence, known as Hellenization, affected language, education, art, and daily customs. Some Jews accepted Greek culture, but others feared it would destroy their traditions. Tensions grew until a Greek ruler named Antiochus IV tried to force Greek religious practices on the Jewish people. This led to a rebellion known as the Maccabean Revolt. A Jewish family called the Maccabees led a successful uprising, regained control of the temple, and purified it. The celebration of this event became the holiday of Hanukkah. For a short time, the Jews enjoyed political independence under the Hasmonean dynasty. However, internal conflict and pressure from neighbors eventually allowed the Roman Empire to take control of the region in 63 BCE. Roman rule greatly affected Jewish life. The Romans allowed the Jews to practice their religion, but they demanded taxes and placed Roman officials over the land. Many Jews were unhappy with Roman control. Some hoped for a military leader, known as a Messiah, who would free them. Tensions grew until a major revolt broke out in 66 CE. The Romans crushed the rebellion and destroyed the Second Temple in 70 CE, an event that changed Judaism forever. Without the temple, the center of worship shifted to synagogues and teaching. Rabbis or religious teachers became the main leaders. Many Jews were killed, enslaved, or scattered throughout the Roman Empire. This spreading out is known as the Jewish diaspora. Though Jews continued to live in the region, large communities also grew in Babylon, Egypt, and across Europe. Despite hardship, the Jewish people kept their identity through study, prayer, and tradition. Life in ancient Israel included many cultural and social elements beyond the major events. Families were very important. Most families lived together in small houses made of stone and clay. They cooked over open fires, stored grain in clay jars, and used olive oil for cooking and lamps. Farming was the main work. People planted barley and wheat, harvested olives for oil, and grew grapes for wine. Shepherds took care of sheep and goats. Clothing was simple, usually made from wool or linen. Men wore tunics with belts, and women wore long dresses with veils. Festivals and religious celebrations brought people together. Passover, for example, reminded the people of the Exodus from Egypt, and it is still celebrated by Jews today. The Sabbath, a day of rest, was observed each week to honor God and to give everyone time for worship and family. The Hebrew Bible is one of the most important collections of writings in human history. It contains laws, stories, poetry, wisdom, and prophecy. Books like Genesis tell how the world began and how the early ancestors lived. Books like Exodus describe the journey from Egypt. Psalms contain songs and prayers. Proverbs offers advice about wise living. The prophets' writings challenge people to live with justice and kindness. These writings not only shaped ancient Israel but also influenced millions of people throughout history. Many ideas that are common today, such as caring for the poor, being honest, respecting parents, and treating others fairly, were strongly emphasized in the Hebrew tradition. The legacy of ancient Israel is enormous. The belief in one God, which the Israelites practiced, became the foundation for Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The moral and legal ideas found in the Ten Commandments helped shape ethical thinking in many cultures. The stories, characters, and teachings of the Hebrew Bible continue to inspire art, literature, and religious practice around the world. Ancient Israel's history is also a story of survival. Despite wars, exile, and foreign rule, the Hebrew people kept their traditions and identity. Their ability to adapt while holding on to their beliefs allowed their culture to last thousands of years. In conclusion, the history of ancient Israel is a long journey from small nomadic families to a united kingdom, from great achievements to painful defeats, and from temple worship to the creation of a global religious tradition. The Hebrew civilization gave the world powerful ideas about God, justice, community, and human responsibility. Its influence continues in modern religions, laws, values, and cultures. The story of ancient Israel is not only a historical account, but also a story of faith, courage, and resilience that still speaks to people today.